Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Unfiltered Vet Discussions. My name is Kelly, and I'm being joined by Jenny and David. You can see more about our interesting lives, at least we're kind of biased and think they're interesting, at Unfiltered Vet Discussions.com, right? You can also follow us on social media platforms and different podcast platforms. So today's topic is marketing to your demographic because we have always have the most interesting conversations in this podcast before we push the button. And we always threaten that we'll do B-rolls or things like that, but we always get going before I actually get to push the button, right? So one of the things that came up that just kind of had us giggling a little bit, but really it does matter, is knowing who your demographic was. So it came up out of Legos and Disney. And really, seriously, Legos and Disney. And we were talking about how Legos has really understood. I mean, the person who discovered that marketing to adults, they totally earned their bonus that year because adults have bigger wallets. Adults are willing to splurge more on themselves and get that higher priced item. And they don't want, a Lego set of 10 blocks put together. I mean, David, how many Legos is in the stadium behind you?
It's over 3,000. And then if you look at something like Star Wars Death
Oh,
Star,
I want
the
Yeah,
those.
big one. And but it's the adults that have the deep pockets. We don't necessarily have, well, some do, I don't, the creativity to build one from scratch like kids do with and the creativity, and I did too, playing with Legos. But adults now have that history and somebody we know has the Disney Lego castle or wants the
No,
Disney
wants it.
Lego castle
I have to
that has
finish my Harry
Hogwarts
Potter,
already.
right? I have to finish Hogwarts and Diagon Alley, and then I get to do the Disney Lego. But it
Yeah, my
is.
my boys just got me the HMS Endurance, Shackleton's ship, which if you have not read the Endurance, I strongly recommend it. It's why Shackleton's one of my heroes. But that the passion of things and the cherry blossom bonsai tree that the yeah, Jenny's got there, and my son has as well. So,
right.
but it has the passion and the ability, and they understand they have multiple targets, the youth of today, and getting that embedded, but then the people that have the passion that still carries through, like Manchester United's stadium. And I'm not a Manchester United fan. I'm a Chelsea Blue guy, but I still have it, and it raises the
Lego.
question, which I think before we push the button is, do we understand, we being veterinary practices, who our clients are to the depth that Disney or Zappos or Lego really have developed that understanding?
Right.
And I see frequently in clients that we work with, they don't have that focus on who their client is. They're trying to be all things to all people.
Mhm.
Sherry in my office and I were just talking. We have a client now that she's doing work with that wants to be a nonprofit, but not compete with the other practices in the area. And it's like, well, if you're trying to provide high quality services to everyone, including the folks that need the low cost care, and you're providing subsidized high quality care, you're a competitor. You're not,
Right.
it's hard to differentiate, and you can't be all things to all people.
Right.
No, and you can't panic that I need to take everybody so I have money, right? There's
Right.
clients that are a good match and there's clients that are not a good match. I mean, I've told people, like, I don't think we're a good fit for you. I don't think Beyond Indigo is going to move the needle
Yeah.
if you want it to go. And then they start arguing with me. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, I've done this long enough. Let me tell you where I think you should go to start looking so that your whole marketing thing is a positive experience versus just a negative death spiral, right? But
Yeah.
Jenny, I don't know if a lot of hospitals say no to people, do they?
Well, no, no. And I think the key to that is veterinarians don't like to say no, right? They, veterinary, again, despite what some people think, people don't get into vet med for money. Okay. They get into vet med because they love to help. help animals, help people, help situations. It's just what they like to do. So I think that the problem is that it's hard to say no. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to say no. It's hard to have that confrontation and say, like you just said, no, you're not for me. And what do? They argue.
They argue and they push back.
Sure. Right. Yeah. And they're going to, because I'm right and you're wrong, or whatever, but nobody wants to. Vets especially don't want to get into an argument, so they say yes to everybody. I think that it is a hard thing to think about. Like I've talked before, it's okay to fire clients. It's okay that people aren't your people. It's okay to not take them on. It's okay. All of these things are okay, because at the end of the day, you better love your job. You better love going to work. You better love what you do. I think we've seen the mental health issues in our industry. And a lot of that is we're trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Disney. Let's talk Disney, because it's my passion. I love Disney almost as much as I love veterinary medicine. I tried to pitch the topic for today being called, how do we brainwash our clients? I have been brainwashed by Disney. I have gladly gone along with it, right? I am like, just take me, Mickey. It's fine. But part of it was when I was a child, I remember on Sunday nights sitting as a family, my dad, we'd pop the popcorn, we'd all sit down, and we would watch The Wonderful World of Disney. So all of those stories came, were just there. You learned about Walt and his dream. You saw all these, some of the movies were just kind of like made for that. Some of them were the bigger movies or the older movies or things like that. Then I get into high school, and all of the Aladdin, Little Mermaid, like that generation of stuff was coming out in high school. I was in the marching band. Every year we did a show dedicated to whatever Disney movie there was the last year, right? My junior year, we got to march at Disney in the nighttime parade. Oh my gosh, it was so amazing. Listen, I am not kidding when I tell you I got myself so worked up, I passed out. I passed out because I didn't eat anything, I didn't drink anything. I was just like, oh my God, I'm at Disney. Because we didn't go to Disney when I was a kid. My dad thinks it's a ripoff. There's too many people. It's too expensive. The food's too expensive. Why would I go back? Now, he did go back. I've taken him a couple times with my kids, and he did enjoy watching, like when they were little and the awe. He did enjoy watching that. But he's good if he doesn't go back ever again. Mm-hmm. Disney knows that brainwashed 40-something me loves Disney. And I have kids, and I'm going to take them to Disney. And, I have my Disney credit card, and I'm going again with my friends for a girls adult only trip. And you bet your bottom dollar that we're buying matching t-shirts and matching sweatshirts and matching mini ears. I mean, it is the dumbest, like I'm looking, and I know that it's stupid, but I can't help it because I've been brainwashed. They know that our generation is we're in it. And then these younger generations, they're sucking them in, right? We see animals cradle to grave. We hope, as long as we can keep our clients. Those clients get older as we see them. And what ends up happening? Their adult children get animals and hopefully start coming to us, right? So I think that Disney, Lego, these companies really have it right when they're looking at the long game. We've talked about the lack of strategic planning. We've talked about the lack of looking forward, right? Like we're just every day, do today, not where we're going to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years. I think that we get really close-minded about, I still, mail out my reminders. What happens to your reminders when you mail them out? They go in the trash, right? A Gen Z person would probably rather have a text, not even an email, a text.
Or a phone call.
Right.
Don't call me, right?
I'm not going to answer. Who is that? That's probably somebody calling about my car warranty. I'm not going to pick that up.
Right?
We all know. So if we're not adapting to who we take care of in our care, in our marketing and everything, we're going to get left behind. And we're not going to I want my practice to be a legacy practice. I don't want it to die when Simon and I die. I want it to be a part of this community for as long as it possibly can be.
Which means at some point we should be talking about exit planning. Best time to plan your exits when you're planning your entrance. That's
correct. That was a good
side
plug there.
topic, but yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think you're right. Do you understand your clients? And yes, some might want the text, but are you asking your clients how they want to be communicated with? Because somebody that's older might want that mailed postcard.
Right.
And so creating that field, I remember my dentist got my mobile number. I don't know how, but they started texting me. And I was angry because I don't like to be texted for something like that. I never asked them to do it. Now I've adapted and yeah, we text now. But the first time it came through, they did not understand. They did not ask me to text me because I don't use my phone that way. My phone is for family and Susan to contact me. I don't use it for work or scheduling things. But, you know, asking how your clients want that. Can we text you? Do you prefer email? Do you want us to mail you this information? To understand, I think you hit it on the head. Your client's age, we hope, with you and the practice, but are we changing our interactions to meet how they want that? And, you know, talking about saying no to clients, I think some practices, and I'm speculating here because I haven't given thought to it, but they weed out clients through their fees. And, you know, and not talking about the difference between us and another practice, but using the fees to convey that difference, which works probably,
Maybe.
but maybe you're losing that full benefit in talking about the differentiation of why our fees are where they are.
Right.
And so that folks understand it, not just, oh, you probably want to go to this practice because they're a little less expensive when they talk to their friends versus, oh, yeah, you should go to the one I go to. Because
Well, go back a step for a minute because this is the marketing part of me here. And Jenny, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but what we see with clients is we ask them, hey, can you segregate out your client list by text and email and newsletter and postal card and carrier pigeon and the donkey going down the street to deliver messages, right? And they're like, why would we do that? And no, it's so much work. And marketing really is a 4-letter word for most businesses in the veterinary space. I mean, just not veterinary hospitals. I mean, like businesses in the space in general, be it veterinary hospitals or their veterinary hospitals themselves. But to actually do what you were saying to meet your demographic takes work. I mean, it works smoothly. Any system works great once you set it up. It's just getting the system set up in the first place. That might be a little bit of a mountain to climb. So they don't do it.
I think that veterinarians are great at making things harder than they need to be. And I think that there are a lot of tools out there that can do exactly that. So we have a company, well, Stacy started Vet to Pet, right?
Right.
And there are other companies, Vitus Vet. There's a whole bunch of companies that do reminders, texting. In those systems, clients can choose how they want to be communicated with. So do I want a paper reminder? And or they keep track of what gets the hit, right? Okay, they received a postcard, then they called the office or whatever, or set up an appointment.
Yeah,
okay.
So they connect the dots together.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it can all be done for you. You don't have to have some poor office manager trying to work with your practice manager's software system, struggling to figure out who likes this, you know. We make things so difficult for ourselves And I think because we don't want to trust our information to anybody else, and we don't want to, we talked about this when we've talked about AI, it's big, it's scary, we don't understand it. So we're just not going to do it. But I think there are so many technological tools out there now that are really quite easy and allow for all of those things.
But you have to stop. You have to stop. You have to research. You have to find the product that matches you, right? I'm just thinking of all the steps.
And and do that at the end of the day when you're tired and worn out.
Right.
Right. And you might be understaffed, or you're trying to ask somebody to do it who doesn't really understand how to do it. And, it's a problem, right? And so slowing down to put systems in place to understand your demographic. And I'm even going to go back one. If I went and asked a random group of people at a convention, who's your demographic? I'm not sure everybody could tell me.
That's true.
Like
everybody's my demographic.
Right? But is it 35 to 45-year-old women who have a couple of children and a cat and a dog? Or are you in a college town and you have a lot of college kids with a cat? Like, there's different demographics, right? And do you know who your demo? And you can just take your PIM system and run a simple report of just, a bell-shaped curve of where do your clients fall, like by age and by species and how many. And even if you do ads like on Facebook and things like that, you can narrow down the ad to how much people make. And your ad will only show the people who make, $1 million and have 2 cats, a dog, and a Lexus in the garage. I mean, it's kind of scary, but it
is. I was just going to say that's
it up, but it's true.
Yeah, it is. Well, and I was just thinking that when you were talking about that, like you can go on Facebook,
you
can go on Instagram, and you can look at your insights, who's looking at what, who's on there, what ages are they, things like that. So if you do that, then that tailor your marketing to that, right? Like I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, hey, we're running a special on, I don't know, dog toenail trims when there's more cats in the area. Or, I was thinking about like a lot of the places in the southern United States where my parents used to go that were retirement communities. Now, my parents did not have animals. I was not raised with animals. I just met my husband and was like, whoa, they have a goat in the house. Not all the time, but only during kidding season. But it was one of those things that I was thinking about. They would talk to me about, or they would call me and say, hey, one of the RVers has a cat that travels with them all the time, and they're having a hard time finding a vet. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't there be? Like somebody who maybe specializes in small dogs and cats, because that's who these RVers, these snowbirds, right, are taking back and forth. And so it's just a matter of, know who your demographic is and offer. And maybe instead of expecting them to come to you, maybe you go to the closest RV park and set up shop there for a day and, have one of those little mobile, I mean, there's so many ways to reach your community.
Yes.
You just have to think about it. Like, what is the need? I know we've gone to our local retirement. Our town is very small, but there is a small section of retirement. And they'll call us and be like, hey, can you come do toenails? Yes. Because they can't even drive here. That's too much for them. So if we can come there and do toenail trims, then we can come, it's knowing who you are there for. Like I said at the beginning, vets are here to help, but you can't help if you don't know who you're helping. So be Disney and be Lego.
and be Lego, and also be willing to get out of your comfort zone. It's not all about you.
But
like you said, go to the senior place, right? Go to the RV park. I'm looking to start a farmer's market here because, what else do I do in my co
right.
But, I'd love to have a vet there. In fact, I know a local vet, who's like, can you just come and do nail trims, right? And see some animals that haven't been being seen because for whatever reason, right?
Right. Coincide a rabies clinic at the same time, or, something like that.
Yes. Yes, exactly. But that means you have to actually walk out the door.
Didn't we talk about this last time that vets are introverts?
We
Like, I feel
did,
like,
but it's kind of just sort of mind boggles me, like, why, like with everything being in the cloud, you can pick up an iPad and you can trundle out with just a little bit of stuff that you need to do nails and
Oh, yeah.
checks, and you can gather all that wonderful, rich demographic information, put it on a newsletter. I mean, like, this is a no-brainer to me, and apparently it's a hard hill to climb. So it's mostly just my like, I don't understand conversation. So
I feel
yeah.
like you really don't understand how introverted the veterinary, like they don't want to talk to people.
No,
I
I,
was I
I
was at my practice managers meeting yesterday, and I was walking in with one of my, I mean, we've known each other now for years and years and years. And she's like, I just don't want to people anymore. I'm like, I can understand that. We're dealing with problems all day long. We're talking to clients all day long. We don't want to, at the end of the day, we just want to go home and hide.
yeah, don't talk.
Recharge.
Yeah,
Recharge. There you go.
yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So kind of like just kind of wrapping up today is pretend you're Legos, pretend you're Disney. You use Zappos too when we were just talking beforehand, right? Zappos, man, they know their market. They know the people, they know what compels them to, because you can buy shoes in a lot of places. It's
Yeah.
not, they're not the only place. So they have a little bit harder market than anybody in this room because there's a lot more people who sell shoes than
Right. Right.
veterinary hospitals, marketing, and brokers. So they figured it out, right? Hats off to them. But
Well, and I think just jumping in, maybe this is cracking the door too much or and trying to incorporate too much. But if you know you know your clients, you know what they want. You don't have to be all things to all people. It allows you to focus your standard of care
Mhm.
so that it's more consistent because you're not adapting it. Well, for you, we'll only do X, Y, and Z, but for you, we're going to do the whole alphabet because you can't. We talk about all things to all people. No, this is what we do. This is what we do really well and who we do it for. And for you, no, you might want be best served by going somewhere else, up or
yes,
down, higher or lower,
Yep.
yeah.
because you know what you do well
Yeah.
and do more of it and do it better.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just told the client who was um, making some comments about vaccines and making some comments about nutrition and distrust of the big pharma. And I said, I just don't feel like we're a good fit for you. I think you would be better with maybe a holistic vet or something like that. I just don't think that our style of medicine is going to fit your needs. And she
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, I'm not saying anything bad about you. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like nothing bad taken. But we don't, like, I don't want to sit there and have a 45-minute long conversation about how I'm being lied to by big pharma. If that's what you believe, that's totally fine. But then this is not, I don't, we need to focus on the clients that are not going to argue with us. But, I mean, and I think that's part of it. If you go into an exam room and you like, before you walk in, you're like, oh God, it's Mrs. Smith. Oh, I just don't want to go in here. Why are you going in there? Why is she still your client? What is it about her that makes it difficult? I let a client go once. I said, you haven't done anything necessarily wrong, but you argue with everything that we say. And we feel like you'd be better. We need to be a team when it comes to your pet's care, and we have to trust one another. And it doesn't seem like you trust us. So we think you would be better fit someplace else. There's nothing wrong with saying that. So,
Well, and I
Yeah.
usually throw out the dating analogy with that. He said, listen, you date a lot of people in your life, right? Right? But you settle with one down the road. Typically, let's just say it's a long-term life marriage, right? Or partnership. And I said, that doesn't mean any of the people that came beforehand were bad people. They just weren't a good fit. And then people are like, oh.
Yeah.
okay,
Because
yeah, we
we've
can
all
break up.
had dates where we're like, yeah, I mean, it's fascinating what you're into, but it's not a me thing. Like, that's cool. This isn't gonna go past today, right? And people can relate to that. We just haven't, there is
Yeah.
no narrative in the marketplace. And I think that's part of the problem. There's no narrative in the marketplace besides one-off comments like we're making here, that finding your fit's okay. Finding your fit going forward for who you are, what you medicine you want to offer. And like you said, Jenny, this isn't us. And this is you and this is us. And we're not clicking, and you're very graceful and saying, how about let me find you a new place that I think would be right. So here's Dr. Jones, who
Right.
does holistic health. Here's their address, here's their phone number, here's their website. Go check it out. I bet you'll go, oh, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Right?
Yeah. I think our point today is really know who you're serving, figure out what services you really enjoy doing so that you can do those to those, with those people, and go to Disney.
It's a package of Legos.
Good wrap.
The package, there's a Lego store in Disney. So you
well,
can
that's
just,
what I was wondering.
right.
Is there a Lego store in Disney? I'm assuming it's just
Disney
all
Springs.
Disney Legos. I'm assuming if it's in Disney.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can get the Death Star, you can get like the Millennium Falcon, you can get the good ones.
Yeah, but Disney owns that brand. So that's why.
Right. And that's why you can get the Disney Legos.
You're not going to get Hogwarts at the Lego that's in Disneyland.
Yeah, because that's Universal.
You get Hogwarts at the Lego that's in Universal.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Know your target audience and have those products available for them, whether it be Hogwarts or Cinderella's castle. Or both in my case.
Both in your case. Well, until later, thank you for joining us. It was an interesting conversation today, and I'm glad we took a moment just to have kind of meander all around, because partly with marketing is taking a moment. It's just stopping and stop reacting and start planning. And that's hard to do sometimes. Life is a pressure cooker lately. So taking that moment, that's an act of conscious thought. So thank you, everybody. Please come join us for future Unfiltered Vet discussions. Please join our social media channels, follow us. And until next time, we wish you would do. See you later.